I feel like I used to have an incredible amount of patience. When I would meet a new person, how I acted at work, or how I handled family issues, guys, I can't do any of it now. Literally everything drives me crazy. If something takes more than a couple of minutes, I just want to explode.
Okay.
Okay, so I go to this local coffee shop because the chains taste like shit, and the guy just takes his sweet time. It's like nobody has any drive. If I was working there, I'd be so full of energy, machines to clean, coffee to drink, stuff to do. Isn't it amazing that because we have these social stereotypes about a line of work that it ends up affecting the performance of the workers? Like, of course he's not going to have initiative. He thinks he's the scum of the working class.
Is there any chance that maybe they're in that position because they don't have greater ambition at that point?
No, no. Anybody's capable of doing a great job. It's totally up to them. I guess sometimes, but mostly it's just these kids who think they're too good to put in some honest work. Some of them get stuck that way and they never learn how to succeed in a work environment. And some people buy the bullshit and promote them and give them what they've convinced they're entitled to. How many people I've met in higher positions who think they're really successful and important, even though they don't have a real skill to show for themselves? And what would happen if they got let go? They technically have no skills, but apparently the experience on their resume is enough to get them a new job and keep up the facade that they're competent. And fast food workers think they have it bad? They might have less money to throw the fuck away like us office people, but what I would do to get paid to keep my calves from turning to mush. So I work my 8, 9, 10 hours and then go to the gym before going home? Just so I can stand upright without having to continuously switch from leaning on one foot to the other?
Let's take a step back. You started this with saying you weren't able to have patience for relationships.
Oh, I went on a date last week with this guy who I met through a coworker. He was just so cocky. Took up 90% of the conversation and acted like he knew so much about everything. Started to talk about politics. I can't do it. I skim through the news, but I can't stand any of it. And he starts ranting to me about all the stuff he thinks he understands. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. Please tell me how you plan on fixing the economy, or poverty, or war, since it's just so easy. It's almost like he just wants acknowledgement for his ideas. I'm such a bitch. After about 15 minutes, I downed my drink in front of him, pulled out $10, and put it on the counter and walked out.
So, this feeling of impatience is very prevalent in your day to day life then?
You should have heard the things he was saying. It was excruciating.
Did you attempt changing the conversation?
Donald, I knew exactly where he was going. I knew what kind of person he was, what date I was on. If I don't want to be somewhere, I'm not going to be there.
Well, there is something refreshing about being so straightforward.
How old are you, Donald?
I'm 47.
Well, you're almost 20 years older than me. You're married. Dating's different now.
Perhaps it is.
I don't know. I'm not proud of walking off like that, but I'm also not ashamed. I could tell my coworker thought I was a bitch the next Monday. I just told her I was having a bad day and apologized.
I think that's a proper response.
But that's not the point. Like, these feelings are so overwhelming. I, I'm not losing control, but it felt damn good in that moment to storm off and just to do something like that.
Well, sometimes it's better to exert some patience. Do you want kids?
Do I have to?
No, I
Am
just.
I feeling this internal clawing telling me that I need to have a baby? This fucking irrational nagging? I'm not falling for it, okay? The rest of them, their body tells them they need to have a kid and that they'll love them endlessly. But they don't. Isn't that the most insane part? They get fooled by their bodies to create this love for their child. And then what? Your job better be good enough. You better be willing to give up all the things you love to do in your free time: hobbies, friendships, your favorite restaurants, drinking. Maybe if you wanted to smoke a little pot from time to time. It's all over from there. No, I'm not falling for that trap. Your body is lying just like all of the men I've ever dated. They're not even all bad guys, but they're certainly all full of shit. It takes a fucking miracle to find a guy who's actually capable of making your life better. God, the worst part is I don't even care if I'm offending you by talking about parenthood this way. I don't even know if you and your wife have kids. Why am I such an asshole about this?
We have two children. However, we adopted both of them.
Oh.
Allison was adopted and she wanted to help others who didn't have families.
See, but at least you're doing that much. How egotistical is it for people who want kids to not adopt?
Well, like you said, there are those natural urges and there's also a social aspect.
Well, I'm tired of following the social code so closely. As a child, I always felt like I had absolutely no freedoms, and there were very narrow paths I had to go along. As soon as I turned 18 and started experimenting outside of those imaginary boundaries, I realized how made up all these rules are.
Well, I believe they're in place out of good intentions. Sometimes there's corruption, or we see growth as a society, and that is what lawmakers and social movements are there for, to help us evolve across the board.
Have you ever broken the law?
Of course,
So where do you draw the line?
I've never done anything too crazy.
Well, what if your definition of too crazy differs a lot from mine?
Well, that is true, and then when we start to get into those gray areas, we end up with people taking advantage of the system or ending up doing very harmful things to people.
There's so much I want to do, and I feel like I'm wasting every single day. And then I get like this, I feel this passion for an hour, and it just fills me with guilt and pain. And then the next hour, I don't feel like doing any of it. Like, why am I not married to someone who, at the very least, doesn't do anything to make my life worse and only helps me? Why aren't he and I discussing the possibility of children right now? Why don't I have a job I actually want instead of being stuck in fucking sales? Why have I been stuck in the same shitty apartment for 4 years?
Okay, well, there's a lot there. What is one of those things you really want to do? One of those things that fills you with this guilt?
Well, I would love to open up my own food truck. I have some money put away. I have a friend who I love. We get along really well. But he's always working and lives across town. But we've talked about it. I'm sure we could do it together. I know it's food service and it could be chaotic and greasy, but honestly, I would love that. I want to be working with my hands. I want to be creating something that people love and thank me for and tip me because they love what I'm doing. We have ideas and I know we're good enough. And honestly, I love this city. That's why we're here, isn't it? I'm doing the people and streets a disservice by not exploring it. And I'm tired of not only having somebody else as a boss, but also of having expectations from other people in an office. This friend, he loves me no matter what, for me. I wouldn't have to deal with these nobodies who know so little about me.
I think that's a wonderful idea, and having a drive to want to do bigger and better things is magnificent. You know what you want, and that's great. Alex, if I may, you're asking to take very big steps in life, and all those things take time and work. Getting my dream job didn't happen overnight. I didn't meet my wife until 7 years ago. You're in by no means a poor position in life for your age.
Then why am I so miserable? And honestly, what are you doing to help me? Like, no offense, I'm not trying to hate on your job, but I feel like I could pay a lot less to have somebody just listen to me.
Well, this is only our second session. This kind of thing does take time.
And what if I'm not even patient enough for that?
I can't even be in the same room as her. I remember the first time I had like a fucking granola bar. I couldn't even look at her. Well, I ate it. Do you need a tissue? No, no. I'm fine. I'm fine. I just. Shit. How old were you? I was 14, and I couldn't act like myself around her. And when I finally did open up to her, I felt like half the time she didn't even understand me. That happens a lot with any relationship, though, particularly at that age.
Donald, I know that, okay? Even at that age, everybody knows that relationships and people are fuck all.
Do you think that you opening up to her and maybe not getting the reaction you expected bothered you?
Bothered me, it tormented me. And what a spoiled little prick I was. Little did I know how much harder my life would get after we broke up. Those were the golden years. The years I was with her. Is that it, Donald? Do we just go from one person to another, from one source of happiness to another?
Possibly. Many feel that way, especially at a younger age. But I think it's more important to find a balance in life. Then you're not relying on something that might not be there tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I'm not that young age anymore. I'm 27 and I still haven't figured any of this shit out.
That's okay, Philip. You're still young in my eyes. And you might think I seem old, but I assure you that I have a lot of life to look forward to myself.
It took me so many years to even get a normal mindset about all this shit. In my household growing up, I felt so judged for everything I did. I was expected to live a certain way and to never make certain decisions. It fucked me up on everything. When that girlfriend first met my parents, I was literally shaking. I had to go to the bathroom over and over just to try to keep my cool, and they were fine. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing, with growing up. But I didn't feel that way at the time. I didn't realize until years later. Why did I act like that? Was it their fault? Was it mine?
I wish I had an answer for you. All I can say is that you're now tremendously reflective on things that you might be labeling as setbacks.
Yeah, look at me. I'm such a mess.
Please, no, crying is good. You've also been through a lot lately.
Oh, you don't even know the half of it. If you had any idea what else has happened.
What do you mean by that?
Just everything else. I don't know. I read an article today. 13 people in our city looked up at the doctor and said, "I want to die, doc. I don't want to live any longer. I cannot stand the idea of continuing this way." They're in pain. They're not getting any better. It's impossible. They'll be suffering until the day they die. But there's no plug to pull. So you know what the doctor does? These people who are in this horrible pain, he mercy kills them. Mercy kills them. That's a legal definition. It's either euthanasia or mercy killing. Now, what would you do, Donald?
That would be a very tough decision.
He put them out of their misery. I bet their families were on board too. Who would want to live like that? At a certain point, you weren't looking at your dad in the eyes anymore. Just a creature who once resembled him.
But it was against the law what the doctor did.
The law. It isn't illegal in Canada. And now he's going to go to prison? For doing what was morally right? What do we do to a dog that is old and has nothing to live for neither? We put the dog down. And it's sad and we hug. But we put it down.
Why do you bring this up to me, Philip?
Because it makes me sick. You read about this thing in the paper, and whoever pulled the trigger on that dog should feel fucking sick to their stomach for doing anything about it. I guess I can never be a cop, because when I listen to my heart, I would end up breaking the law. And if I had to do him in, then I would quit right there on the job. That dog's a saint.
I'm wondering if you fixating on the story surrounding death has something to do with where your head has been lately.
Oh, you want to talk about it, Donald? Is that it? Could you be any more clear?
I.
Ugh! Who's the sick one here, huh?
Yes, I do want to talk about it.
Okay. Well, I don't.
That's okay. We don't have to.
Why do you want to talk about it?
It sounds like it's weighing heavily on you.
Obviously it is, but I, I can't get it out.
Philip, I'm not trying to rush you. If you're not ready to talk about it,
You can never understand. What have you ever done that is even close to this caliber?
It would be impossible to compare and contrast, but you must remember that everybody has faced their own set of challenges in their lives.
Nothing like this. Less than 1% of the world has to deal with this. What even makes you qualified?
I've dealt with many patients with PTSD and have gone through intense personal things myself.
Yeah, yeah. That is true. I guess it is a big fucked up world, isn't it?
It's impossible to deny that we'll inevitably come across hardships in our life, but it isn't all that bad. If at all possible, I'd like to try to help you get through this.
Well, it's getting worse. I thought it was over, and it seems like it's just happening all over again. I never thought this would be me, and now I find myself in this shit all over again.
How do you mean?
I just can we go over everything again? I want an honest opinion from you if there's anything you think I should have done differently.
Well, yeah, of course.
Okay. You know that's what's tormenting me. Just thinking that maybe it didn't have to happen that way. So I was walking through a park to go home. I don't usually take that way, but it was cold and it's technically the fastest route home. And he came up to me. Well, he was catching up to me, calling out to me. I don't know why he didn't try to sneak up on me. I grabbed the knife in my pocket and I clutched it when the hair started standing up on the back of my neck. You know that real primal feeling that you feel like a dangerous situation may or may not go down?
And why did you have a knife on you?
I don't know. All my friends have always had one. We carry the one that's small enough that it's legal to carry around. It isn't a little Swiss Army knife. It's big enough to do some damage, but it also isn't a fucking bayonet.
Okay.
So I could smell alcohol in his breath all over him. If I would have lit a match, he would have gone up in flames. He wasn't small. He was only a few inches taller, but he seemed even bigger because of his gut. He was easily 300 pounds. He had a knife and he asked for all my money. Well, no, he said, don't try to run or you lose your life. Don't be stupid, give me your wallet.
Was he slurring his speech?
No, not really. Not really. That's a good question. That's a really good question. What's crazy is that so many people think there's no time to think in situations like that. And there isn't. Not like full sentences, but your mind makes these like mini calculations. I really believe you can be trained in this shit because all the things race through your brain faster than you can talk or even read. My brain went to he's not really slurring, but he could still be very drunk. And some people are total animals when they fight drunk, and some people are sloppy and messes. With all of that going through my brain, I absolutely knew it was possible. If I made a move, I could still die right then and there.
So, you made your assessment and you realized that there was a fair possibility that you could lose your life.
Exactly. And I went for it. I took an enormous risk that could have gotten me killed. I have no idea what the odds are, but I definitely could have died. Donald, I didn't know what was going through my head, but I wanted to keep my possessions. I didn't want him to rob me so badly that I took the knife and I even didn't go for his gut because I didn't think it would be enough. I thought that would only cause a knife fight. I don't know. I wanted to win. I wanted him dead at that moment. And I don't know what was going through my mind. My knife was concealed. I wasn't brandishing it like he was with his. I don't know if he knew I had mine. I don't know if he thought I was punching him and that he was just going to retaliate as soon as I did and stab me and take my money. I don't know if he was too drunk to be thinking about any of these things, but he didn't react. I so clearly got the jump on him, and when I drove the knife into his throat, I kept at it. It wasn't like I inserted it and walked away. I tore and ripped at his throat. I didn't realize at the time, I swear to God I didn't, but he had dropped the knife. Probably after I'd first stabbed him. I don't know if he had ever even planned on stabbing me. I don't know if he had done it 1,000 times and never had to worry about it getting to that point. I don't fucking know. That fucking drunk piece of shit. Why did he make me do it?
You were defending yourself. And you can't forget that you not only waited by the body, but you called an ambulance in the first place.
Well, why didn't I stop? He might have lived if I didn't rip the knife.
Well, it was your instinct. Even if you process a lot in the matter of seconds, it's hard to imagine you could have stopped yourself in the microseconds it took to do that.
I thought he was gonna live. I was crying and still cursing him as he bled. Maybe I should have applied pressure, but I couldn't touch him. The bastard. Nobody could have expected me to touch him.
You're not a doctor, Philip. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure I would have known what to do in the situation either.
It's been nearly a year, and I still play it over and over again in my head. Just wondering if there's something I could have done differently.
If you would have just stabbed him in the throat, or perhaps somewhere lower and less vital, perhaps you could have started to make a run for it.
Well, I was kind of near a fence, and I played it through in my head, and he could have snatched me if he was quick enough. I didn't know if I was gonna 100% for sure make him completely immobile. I didn't know how any of this works. Maybe I should have tried to run and then use my knife, but he had already had his out. And as soon as I got physical, there was a chance that he would use his knife on me. So I knew I had to go. I also thought about the idea of me giving him the money and him stabbing me anyway. It's absurd, but the fact that it's even physically possible makes me worried. I'm so afraid of people getting over on me. It's such a big complex. I can't stand the idea of getting screwed on anything, and this is just the most extreme possibility. And of course, I had to be put through it.
It's a terrible situation, but you weren't charged. Nobody can say what you did was wrong.
I killed him, Donald. My family, some of my friends, they act supportive the way you do, but I can tell they think of me differently now. Like they know what I'm truly capable of. I don't know how you truly feel. I don't really care. You don't matter like they do. My father always taught me to turn the other cheek. He said it was never worth it to be reduced to their level. I wonder what he really feels about what I did.
Philip, have you returned to the park where it happened?
Yes,
When did you go? Have you been back often?
a couple times.
When was the last time?
I don't know, like last week. No, it was more like a month ago. Sorry. Um, my times are all messed up since I quit my job.
Yes, about that. Have you been looking for more work?
I just can't right now. It's fine. I have some money saved up, but as you know, it's really getting out of control for me, and I just need some time to get back on track.
What are you spending your time doing?
I'm exercising some. I don't know. Well, I haven't played tennis with my friends in a while, but it's been 2 months since I quit my job, and to be fair, yeah, I feel like I haven't been using my time that wisely.
Perhaps working would be better for you to help distract you, give you less time to just think.
No, I can't
Why not?
because it's getting worse. Don't you, don't you see I'm not like them anymore?
Philip, did something else happen since the incident in the park?
Well, maybe I just yeah. I mean, things are happening all the time.
It seems to me like the last month was going really well for you, but this session I felt a lot has changed.
Uh, can I use the bathroom?
Well, yes, of course.
No, I don't really have to go.
Philip, what are you avoiding here?
Nothing. I just it happened. It happened again.
What happened again?
Oh God.
Philip, what happened again? Did somebody try to rob you again? Philip, did you kill somebody else recently?
What are you trying to do? Trick me? If I tell you I harmed somebody, you have to tell on me.
Perhaps, but
No. No. I didn't kill anybody recently. I've just been thinking about it a lot.
okay, what have you been thinking about?
I've wanted to. I've thought about using a knife on people.
What sorts of people? Out of self defense?
No, no, not out of self defense. And my ex.
Why your ex? Even you said she did nothing to wrong you in any sense, even if it pains you to bring up such things.
Not my recent ex. My childhood ex, my high school sweetheart.
But once again, you knew that she did nothing to harm you, even if you two were young and confused and awkward.
I just think about it, okay? It's a fantasy. It's satisfying. I think about the incident a year ago and it's a nightmare. But I just think with her, I don't know. I'm starting to think I can't live any other way.
Philip, you felt like an outcast. You've had a very traumatic thing happen to you, and all the people close to you know about it. And I bet you wish it wasn't that way. But that doesn't mean you're any different from the person you were before. It doesn't mean that you can't live a successful and happy life.
Donald, it's all I can think about. It's completely consumed my mind.
Okay. If you were to do this to her, how would you do it?
Well, I couldn't. Not to her. I don't know where my ex when I was 14 even lives now. And what are the chances I could get her alone to pull something like this off? No, but I could do it to another girl person. I could do it to anyone I thought I might be able to trick. I think about every detail and scenario, like the micro thoughts that raced through my brain when that thing happened a year ago.
Okay, and what's your best plan if you did want to pull this off?
Well, I would find somebody heading home, just like I was, target her like that drunk did to me, but I wouldn't do it out in the open like he did. I would like fake an injury or something and tell her that I just needed to get back to my car and that I needed help. And even if she said she would call for help or something, I'd tell her that I had already called the hospital and that they were on their way to my car and I needed to take some medication. And if she asked me what it was for, I would say my heart and that we needed to hurry. And once we got to my car with her helping me support myself, I'd grab my knife and I'd stab her in the stomach to get a reaction and maybe a scream. But I'd be parked in enough of a secluded area that we wouldn't be spotted together.
Why would you want to hear her scream?
I don't know. I don't know why I want any of this.
Okay, go on. Would you kill her then?
Of course I'd kill her. I couldn't keep her alive.
And what would you do with the body?
Well, we'd be off near the woods and I'd make sure there's no blood on my car anywhere and I'd shovel the dirt that had gotten blood on it into a bag and I'd dig her grave out in the woods. Take my time with it and make sure it wasn't going to be found soon. Bury my clothes, the knife, and her body in the bag with dirt in it all together. I'd cover it up with branches and stuff and make sure it didn't look suspicious.
Philip, you know these thoughts and just the sheer amount of details attached are very concerning.
I don't know what to do. That's why I'm here, okay? I don't know if there's anything you can do. This is the exact person I didn't want to become, and I just find myself not being able to escape it.
There are steps we can take to get you on a better path, to get you away from these thoughts, but I do need you telling me everything that's going on. I know that this isn't what you want to do. I know that you're a moral person and that you didn't want any of this to happen.
I have to go.
Philip, I really think we have more to discuss here.
I can't. We can talk more later.
Philip, wait.
Hey,
Hi.
are you waiting for Donald?
Yep,
What do you think of him?
he's fine.
Yeah? But you wouldn't, like, recommend him to anybody?
I don't know. Depends on the person, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. My wife sees him a lot. I had to reschedule today. I was just leaving actually, but I don't know. There's nothing from your experience you have to say on him, or
Oh, well, no, I mean, he's good. I think he helps me.
oh, well, that's good, very good. Well, I hope you have a good session and get everything out of it that you need. I hope you have a fantastic day. And what was your name?
It's, Susan. Susan.
Susan. Okay. Have a great day, Susan. Susan! Susan, thank God. I hurt my leg really badly. Is there any chance you can help me to my car?
What happened?
This car ran right into me. I'd just gotten some lunch across the street there, and he sped right off.
Well, I'm sorry. I wish I could help you, but I'm really in a rush here.
Please, it's just over the bridge there. It's my left leg. If you can get me to my car, I can drive myself to the hospital.
I can go call you an ambulance right now.
No, that I can't afford to. My wife is working until late tonight, and I have to pick my kid up from school, and then I can take him to his grandmother's right before I can drive to the hospital. Please, you've got to help me out.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll help you to your car, no problem. It definitely sounds like an emergency.
Oh, thank you so much. Just let me. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can move like that. Okay.
So you have to make sure your kid gets somewhere safe so you can go to the hospital.
Yep. Exactly.
What's your kid's name?
His name's Eric.
Oh, okay. What grade is he in?
He's just 8 years old. I'm kind of panicking right now because I don't know what happens if nobody's there to pick him up. You know.
Yeah, that makes sense. What grade did you say he was in?
He's in first grade.
Okay. Isn't 8 a little old for a first grader?
Yeah. Well, his teacher thought it was a good idea to hold him back for a year.
Yeah. My nephew had that exact same issue, actually. His teacher said it was because he couldn't get his timetables correctly. Usually there's just one area of focus that a kid struggles in and they hold them back.
Yep. That's that's funny. That's the same with little Eric. He had the same problem. Couldn't get the times tables. I guess some kids it just takes longer for them.
Wait a second. Why do you have a knife?
Listen, I need you to come to my car right now.
Hey! Fucker! I went into work today. People kept asking me where I'd been. I told them that a close cousin of mine had died and I had to take a week to fly out to Minnesota.
Do you feel like that's a fair comparison to what you've been through and a fair amount of time to grieve?
I don't know. I'm not grieving for that bastard if that's what you mean.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. Well, you said before that you didn't feel any real connection to anybody at work.
Yeah, fuck all of them. I definitely don't care what they think I've been doing.
What are your thoughts on what happened, if you're ready to talk about it?
My thoughts are that the dude was psycho and that he deserved to have what happened to him. And that the police filed a report and I'm going to get a restraining order and press charges if he ever gets out of that hospital.
I visited him in the hospital. He looks very bad. As you know, he was one of my patients, and I cannot apologize enough for you two running into each other. Of course, I've dropped him as a patient, and my visit was the last time I will be seeing him.
It wasn't your fault. Don't apologize. Just a freak coincidence. It could have been any person he targeted. I guess I'm glad it was me in the long run if it had to happen to someone.
Your actions were just, and I don't think it would be crazy to think that some might think even heroic.
He had a chance to stab me when I grabbed him. Maybe he just didn't want to do it there. Maybe he was never going to do it. I guess I'll never know.
With your animosity towards your work continuing to grow, do you think now would be a good time to start making moves towards your food truck idea?
No, no, I can't do anything right now. I don't even know if I'll go back in tomorrow. I feel like I need more time off. I'm just so fucked right now.
I just got home. Oh, you're about to leave with the kids? Perfect. I'll see you in about 5 minutes then. Okay. Love you too.